In this episode, we're talking about games that snuck in at the very last minute, but might actually affect our personal Game of the Year conversations. These and more on Indie Game Arcade. Welcome back to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast that deep dives into the latest and greatest indie games. I drew that out a little bit. I'm your dad of deck builders. My name's Chris.
And I'm your brushstroke brawler. I'm Joseph.
Oh, okay, that's very topical. I guess both of ours were pretty topical, but I really like yours. That's good.
I'm really trying to follow your cue now, and it's actually easier to do that than to try to come up with just something blindly every time. If I've got a topic, it makes sense, so I'm with you there.
It works. Speaking of things that work and things that don't work, this is very off topic.
Okay.
You have gauges in your ears, yes?
Little ones, but yeah.
How often are you taking those bad boys out to clean them?
You know, I haven't been wearing my earrings for the past, month or so. So, you know what I would do, and this is gross, but I'm going to say it anyway because we're talking about it. I would just kind of like feel around just under the little gauge. And then if I smell it and it smells bad, then I'm like, okay, it's time to clean my ears.
Okay.
Time to clean my earrings.
Okay. I asked because like as we started recording, I literally just did that. And I was like, oof. Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of it's not that bad because it's kind of the equivalent of like smelling your own armpit, except I cannot smell my ear without just touching it and getting a feel of it.
Yeah. Does everyone with gauges go do y'all have a cleaning ritual that I don't know about?
Do they just take them out like you're supposed to every night?
Yeah, probably. I always mean to take them out before I shower and then I forget and then I'm in the shower and I'm like,
I do that all the time and then your hands are too wet to take them off.
Yeah, you can't pull them out.
No.
Yeah, it's impossible. Speaking of things that are impossible, I don't know. I don't have a follow-up for this. Something impossible about a spiritual successor to Celeste and Hollow Knight at the same time. We're talking about Constance.
That was a transition.
Game start!
Yeah, that was kind of a transition. You can kind of see where I was trying to go with it and then fell apart completely. So there's that. Hey, Constance was released November 24th. 2025, developed by BTF, published by BTF, Bite Rockers Games, and Parco Games, retails for $19.99. And for a quick description, this is a hand-drawn 2D action-adventure Metroidvania that is so many tags there for you, where you control a paintbrush-wielding artist trying to escape a colorful but decaying inner world reflecting on mental health and inner turmoil. So, this was one that I had seen info about it like months and months and months ago. And I knew right away from seeing the trailer and the gameplay footage, I would be terrible at this game. But I was very excited to get you on this game because it reminded me so much of the fluidity of Celeste and also some of the art and some of the like encounters, I guess, of a Hollow Knight or Silk Song, if you want to go for this year. It's getting pretty good reviews so far. I have seen a few people be a little bit critical of it as well. So I'm really, really interested to see what you have to say.
Yeah, I'm curious what the critical response to it was because I have like some opinions on it, but I don't think they're very critical of it, regardless of what they might have been. Do you remember what some of those were before I start off?
I think some of it was that the boss fights were not engaging enough or something, if I remember right. It's been like a few days since I read any reviews.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I could see that. Like, I think it has sort of because it is a mix of, like you said, Celeste and to some degree Hollow Knight or Silk Song, I don't think it's trying to like push too hard in either direction, because then that game would be like incredibly frustrating, I would think, for people who want one or the other and are just going in and getting like the hardest part of both. I think that would be a tough game to sell. It'd be great for me. I would love that. But people who would bounce, I could see people bouncing off of it more if it were to try to just lean too heavily into either. And honestly, like speaking of just leaning heavily into something, even though this is like an emotional game at its core, like you were saying at the top, and it does have some like really like challenging messages, and it actually states that at the beginning of the game to like take breaks, or like it's okay to take breaks from the game or whatever if it gets too kind of overwhelming. But I would just say it doesn't even seem like super heavy handed in that way at all. Like it's not like straight up in your face about it most of the time. Yeah, it's mostly just like metaphorically speaking of things, or just like representational just characterization of certain feelings that you might see. Now there are some things that were a lot more direct. Like one of the first experiences I had that like really let you see that it is kind of a blend of two things. It's not like you've been transported to a different world or anything. It's just sort of like your feelings kind of working themselves out, to my understanding. And that's not really spoilery, because like that's kind of, people know that about the game. One of the like mini games, and I think it was after like I fought the first boss, was I had to, so it set me up in front of a desktop. Like I'm an artist, I'm at my computer, and I'm, about to go into my files. I'm getting a ping from my manager or something, my supervisor, and he's like, hey, like this person needs like these changes made to this artwork, just like increase the font size and shift it up like 3 or 4 pixels or something. And you click it, like you click it to open the file. Like it has all these little things. It's highlighting the areas that you're supposed to click on. So you click to open a file, you click the font, and you click it again to enlarge it and then move it up. It's like, okay, that's simple enough. As you go back to it, there was a scroll bar on the side, and it looked like it just kept going, and you saw like 6 to 9 of the files just right there, where you had to just open them, do the same thing over and over again. As I was getting to the third one, I'm like, is it just gonna make me like do all of them like this? And then someone else reaches out to me for another job that I'm doing, and it's like, hey, I need this video, or this person needs like a draft of the video that you're doing. So can you export that right now? So you move over, you click something else, you start exporting that video, and that's taking forever to export because, it's a large file. And then you go back to your art thing, and then multiple people are just messaging you at the same time. And then a third person comes in and asks you for something else about a newsletter. And so I was just getting this like really, like this real feeling of anxiety as I was going through that process, not knowing when it was going to end, and not knowing like what I could do to like make it better, or like how I could help it at all, because it's out of my control, which things like that usually are. And so it was just the frantic clicking and moving around and doing this as like fast as I could. But as I was going through that, that's when I really like felt the weight of like the real world aspect of this. That was very early on too. And there's more things like that as like interstitials. They're not like part of the main like core gameplay. But after like large events, or you beat some like of the bosses, like it goes into those things as you really start to kind of tie the two worlds together. And I appreciated that about it.
That's really interesting. Like, I didn't even know that was a part of the game, and that makes it even more intriguing to me.
Yeah, I didn't know either. That's why when that popped up, I was like, what the hell is this?
Cool.
Yeah, but
also that sounds depressingly like my actual everyday job. like no joke. I'm like, oh man, I was in like a very similar situation literally yesterday.
I think anybody working in a spot where you can be reached out to, and working with multiple teams on multiple projects at once, can understand how that feels. And this might be like an extreme of it, but it also shows that this game is really sort of sending a message about a burnout in part. And that is just like that aspect of it right there, where it's so easy to be burned out when you're trying to do so much at the same time. And obviously no one is respectful of your time, because they don't know or don't care that you have 3 other things going on at the same time. So that was a really like challenging message to deal with early on. aside from those, though, I'll just talk about the core gameplay a little bit. So it is a good mix of Celeste, where you are doing a lot of like the platforming that gets fairly challenging, not to the point of Celeste, I wouldn't say, but there were some things I had to do like over and over again that I was like really appreciating how like tough it was in ways, to where I had to just like, you know, you're dashing through once you unlock these powers, because it is a Metroidvania also. So yeah, you're unlocking things like your double jump and your air dash and things like that periodic, like as you go through the game. And so like there's one spot where I had to be air dashing, like clinging to the wall, sliding down the wall until I get to the bottom of it, then dashing under it, and then like doing my double jump like back onto the wall, onto the other side of it. And if I had double jumped before I did the air dash, then I couldn't double jump again. So that's where it started becoming like, okay, I need to really like lock into what I'm doing here, because I cannot do these actions twice while I'm in the air. So I have to be real methodical about what I was doing and how I was performing it. And it kind of felt like a rhythm game in that way in some aspects. Again, it's not so like those stretches are not so long that it ever becomes like frustrating. And I don't know if there's like a way to get like the cherry kind of mode going like you had in Celeste. I don't think there's like that extra challenge like tagged onto this, or might be, but I beat the game, and it's a pretty short game relative to Celeste. I would say it's probably like, if you were to just speed through it, it would be kind of half of what Celeste is. Celeste, I think, was an 8 to 9 hour game. This one's more like a 4 to 5. It took me about 8 hours to beat this because I was like doing a bunch of side stuff too. I was kind of surprised when I got to the end because I felt like there was going to be more, or maybe I was just hoping there was, because I was really starting to get into the flow of the combat and the movement. And so as I started to really kind of get into it, like it ended. There's more stuff I could go back and do if I wanted to be like a completionist, but I don't know if that would tie much into the story or if it would just be some extra side things. Also, combat-wise, I think you were right to kind of feel like maybe it's not a game that, or it might be a game that would be kind of tough for you, because when I fought the first couple bosses, I was surprised that they were as hard as they were, because the game is like deceptively kind of cute in a way, like the art style is.
Yeah.
One of the most frustrating early bosses was this Joker card. And he laughs at you, and then he goes through all these different phases that you have to kind of memorize and be like, all right, I need to go through all these different sort of like different challenges coming across the screen at me, and then hit him when I get the chance to. And if I don't, then it's going to start the cycle over again of all these different types of attacks he's doing. And that, I just remember being really frustrated over that boss, because it was just so... I might have just gone to the area too early even. And so that's why I didn't have like the right kind of like dashes or whatever to dodge some of the stuff. But once I finished it, I was like, okay, now I'm on the same page as this game. I get that it's going to challenge me a little more than I expected it to. And I appreciate that. Again, it's not so hard that it's going to be as tough as either Silksong is or Celeste is on either side of that. But I think you'll get a good challenge, a good balance of both.
Do you think that it would benefit from being a little bit longer of a game, since you said that you felt like you were really starting to get into the groove when it ended?
Maybe. I mean, I could see multiple things that it could do, but I think if it were longer, it might run the risk of like overstaying its welcome in a way, because right. I saw some of the comments you were talking about the bosses feeling kind of like underwhelming as far as that goes, and I thought they were fine, but if they stayed like the way that they like that sort of difficulty, then I could see it getting kind of like, I don't know, maybe boring after, if I just kept going through that same sort of difficulty with it. Like the last boss, even it took me maybe 2 tries, and that's why I was surprised when it was over, because I was like waiting for more forms, and there were like 2 or 3 forms of it, but none of them were like overly challenging, at least not as challenging as I found some of the early bosses, because I just lacked the mobility to really handle them. So Once I have all of that, it's like, yeah, it did start feeling a lot easier, but I was okay with it because in part I just have so much else that I need to play or want to play that I was I was fine with it being over and actually just kind of relieved that I was able to actually finish a game before we recorded again. So, hey, at least there's that.
Do you think it leans harder into like the precision platformer, or would you just say like it's good for like both? Like everybody on both sides should try it out.
I think if you're coming in looking for combat, you might be a little disappointed. And if you're coming in looking for like pure platforming, you might be a little disappointed because I do think the platforming is probably where it leans more, as in like there's less repetition to it, because with the enemies, it's like once you see an enemy and you deal with them one time, it's like they have the same set of moves like every time. So every time you run into that same enemy, you'll know how to deal with them. Whereas the platforming challenges are pretty unique most of the time, as they need to be, just to keep you sort of engaged and doing something different, where it's like, okay, now I have to do like a pogo jump off of these spikes and then like climb this wall and then dash into this thing. And so there's a lot of variety to that, more so than there is with the enemies. Some of the enemies you could just like literally just like hit repeatedly until they're just dead. And that's about it. Like you don't have to really do much to them. There's some unique exceptions to that, but yeah, like as far as the who this would appeal more to, probably people looking for more of a platforming challenge, and the combat falls a little shorter on that. But I don't think it was bad. I just think that's not what this game is trying to, I guess, do most of all, is be a combat heavy game.
It does have a bundle with Possessors right now too,
which I also just beat.
Yeah. Oh, did you really? Wow.
I did. Yeah.
You've been on it this week.
That one was a longer game, but I was happy to beat it. I can kind of see where what was the team?
Heart Machine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could kind of see where they either had to start rushing a little bit at the end, or it just, honestly, like what happened to mine was I couldn't finish this one quest because it bugged out like permanently. And it was like a big quest that was going to get me a lot more like dialogue with this one character and things like that. And so it just cut me off completely from that. I was still able to beat the game, but it left a big chunk of it that I wanted to experience that I just couldn't, and I had no way of recovering from. I went back to that same point where that enemy was supposed to be multiple times. I had already like killed them, but it didn't count on my tracker thing. And so I was like, are they going to come back? Like, what's going to happen? But every time I would go back to that spot, nothing would be there, but the marker was still there. So it's like, well, crap, I just cannot finish this quest then. So I was a little disappointed in that aspect of it. And I had seen some reviews of it saying that it was a little buggy in some areas because, that team got like disbanded or something immediately, like after this game was released or something to that effect. And so you can see the cracks start to show. I still think it was a good game. I just wish it had been more polished at the end.
That team went through like a lot of problems, and like, I don't know, like it all just sounds like the biggest problem of all, probably the leadership of that like studio, especially like with what happened with Hyper Light Breaker and then basically just abandoning the game.
Yeah.
And then putting out Possessors and then having like such a large bug, still there. It's like, man, come on, like get stuff together, guys.
And I don't know how many people that specific one affected, but I never really experienced bugs, like game-breaking bugs in games. I don't think I've ever experienced a bug that's locked me out of doing something. And this is the first time I've gone through that. So for that to be the first one I've ever encountered, that just feels real unfortunate, because I was super on board with the game. I was enjoying it and I wanted to see all aspects of it. But yeah, I just got completely undercut from that. So I'll never know.
That sucks. That's disappointing. Oy. Hey, let's talk about something that's not disappointing though. At least hopefully not. I don't know your take on it. I was not disappointed. Let's talk about this next game, which is Cross Blitz.
New game!
So, Cross Blitz was released November 24th, 2025, developed by Taco Boy Studios. Yeah, Taco
Can't
Boy.
lose with that name.
published by the Arcade Crew and Gamerer Games. Retail price is $22.99. For a quick description, this is a single-player RPG deck builder that blends both a story-driven campaign and a roguelite mode, built around fast tactical card battles on a grid where you build themed decks for different heroes while exploring islands, clearing dungeons, and tackling randomized runs. Joseph, if you would have asked me a few weeks ago what my favorite deck builder of 2025 was, I easily would have said Star Vaders without blinking. Now I'm not sure because I am loving this game. I am deep into it and I am having an absolute blast. And I think some of that is just because of the amount of versatility that this game has to offer between like the two modes, the Fables being the campaign and then the Tusk Tales. But before we get into that stuff, I just want to know what's your initial take on this thing.
So I've played through one chapter of the story mode one as the lion guy, like his first chapter. Because I wanted to, I didn't know what either of those choices was when I started the game. So I was like, I don't know, I'll start with the top one and see what that is. And I'm glad I did, I guess, because that kind of gives me a good tutorial into how to play the game. Now that I'm on board with it and I understand it, I think it's really cool and has a lot. I guess there's a lot to customize that I'm not sure how deep that goes because of how early on I am. I beat his one chapter, but that's it. But I think I have a pretty good concept of how to play it. But I'm also sure that there's a lot that I'm missing out on because I've only experienced that one chunk out of 3 chapters that he has. And then there's like how many characters? Like 6 or 7 characters or something?
I think there's 5 for the Fables. So that's the campaign driven.
Yeah.
I don't know if did you touch the roguelite?
No, all I did was start it up and saw that it was a roguelike thing. I was like, I don't have time for this, but I'm curious. I'll talk to Chris about it.
So here's the thing. The Tusk Tales, which is the roguelite section, there's 20 characters to choose from.
I'm in.
20 characters. They all have different starting cards.
Are there unlockable characters? Or are they all unlocked at the start?
So the very first one that you start with just one and you have to unlock the other 19.
Oh, interesting.
But it's not done by like achievement based. It's done by like a currency. So like you can like go through and you can kind of pick and choose which characters you want to unlock, which is like really cool. So it's kind of like you can literally just be like, oh, that guy just looks cool. I want to try him and unlock him, you know?
Yeah. I guess I'm of two schools of thought on that because like I do like kind of restricting the cooler people, like incentivizing me to continue playing something so that I can get to like this super cool person last or close to last instead of me being like, all right, I'm just going to drop it immediately on this dude. This is the only guy I want. Now I have no reason to keep playing or buying these people, you know?
Well, the thing is too, like each character also has their own meta progression. So like not only like extra cards and stuff, because they all have their own starting cards, right? Just to kind of lay this out, there's like 5 different classes, like class types. So like when you're doing the Fables, you're just playing like one character per class. When you're getting into the Tusk Tales, then you've got all 20 characters. There's 4 per class. Even though they share classes, their play styles are still different because like you might have, I don't remember what the green folks are, but like some of them are like poison based and some of them are like elven, like archers, so they're like and things like that.
Nature-y dudes, yeah?
Yeah, basically.
So yeah, since I only played the one guy, I guess he was whatever the pirate class was. And those are cool cards, but I did see as I was going through some of the other like cards. I know I saw a dragon one, I saw the elf one, but I didn't really get to play any of those cards because that's not what the I guess rewards I was getting was, since my deck was specifically pirate stuff. So I am curious like what sort of style you are leaning most towards, or if there's one you're enjoying the most.
Actually, as of recording this, I'm going to be dropping a Let's Play tomorrow, but by the time everyone's hearing this, it's already up, of me doing a run with, I think her name's Lieutenant Juniper, if I'm remembering right. But she does like a bunch of poison stuff, or like I got a bunch of poison cards. I was also building a bunch of like, building in a bunch of archers and stuff too. So it's kind of like, even though they're both the same class type, they were builds from different like card sets, because like the card sets kind of go with specific like heroes, and you can kind of like mix and match them. And like one thing I was seeing is like whenever you're doing like the deck builder or the roguelike section, as you like progress in kind of that Slay the Spire kind of style of like going to like a shop to buy upgrades or whatever, you also sometimes go to these areas where you can select a mercenary, which is like one of those heroes, and you get some of their cards to like their starting cards to join you along with them, like their hero card to become part of your deck. I've seen a lot of people that are like, oh man, like I don't like that because it means I can't do like a pure run of whatever thing. But like, here's the thing, you can just like leave. You don't have to accept it. I don't know like how people are missing that. Like you can just not add them to your deck. Though like there was one time too, like you some of the like rewards and stuff you can get is like they'll present you with like you know, a usual roguelike. Here's 3 prizes, pick one. In this case it's like here's 3, let's say, card packages with 3 different cards in it. And what I love about it is like the first time I did it, I was like, oh man, I kind of like this card, but I don't want this card that's in it. I guess I'm stuck with it. But then I realized you can select and choose what cards you take out of that pack. Like you still have to stick with one pack. But if there's a card that you don't want in that pack,
you can just scrap it.
Click. Yeah, you can scrap it like right there before you accept the pack.
That's good.
So I'm like, they've thought of so many things with this. And by they, I think it might have been a solo dev, to be honest, that built this entire thing, which is very impressive.
What do you think of the tactical like grid portion of it? It's like, when I say tactical, for anyone who hasn't really seen it yet, like I'm speaking super lightly. It's just like is it an 8x8 or 6x6? Not 6x6, sorry. Like a two rows and 3 columns or 4 columns. That's what I can't remember.
Yeah, it's 2x4.
Yeah. So where you place the cards is relevant because the ones in front are going to be tanking the hits generally, unless they have some kind of special ability that says otherwise. So that's where like that will come into play. How did you feel about that? Did you like that tactical aspect of it?
Yes, I absolutely love it. Think about it in terms of Inscription, of like that layout, very similar layout as far as that goes. But like, what if your back line could actually do their attacks? Like they don't have to be at the forefront. That's essentially how it's working. And yeah, I love that because it makes everything way more complicated and allows for a lot more thought and also synergy and stuff. So there's like cards that like, I ended up with some cards in my playthrough yesterday that was just like, you put this card out and then whatever card is in front of it will get like +2 damage, +2 health. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's really cool. Like, you know, he doesn't have a lot of benefit by himself, but adding him to another card makes the card more powerful. And it's like, things like that make it way more interesting than if it was just like, okay, it's just a card with 2 and 2.
And there are some that are super important placement wise. Like, I can't remember this like pirate's name, but there's this pirate card that you put him out, I think is a 4 cost, and you put him out and directly behind him, a cannon will spawn, like a cannon card.
Yes.
And what those do is as long as the cannon is alive, like stays there, every time you place another pirate down, it will fire a shot at a random enemy for like 4 damage, which is a ton of damage. So it really benefits you to have that out. But I say that because there was a time that I could not place my guy because I had my front row covered. And if I put him in the back, I'm losing out on the whole cannon aspect of it. So it'd be a waste of that card. So it is important to kind of space those out. And sometimes like, I don't think you can like kind of trash your own characters, like replace one with another, to my knowledge. But there are some cards that you have that will do that in some way. And or you can just use a little saw, which does 1 damage to everybody on the screen and just like take out your own dude if you want to. I like that. What is it? Tough or something? The keyword that makes it where you will take 1 less damage. Because I always felt great putting out a 1-cost guy that had tough on him, because then they can't take me out with those stupid saws that they kept trying to hit me with. And it felt really rewarding to survive those little mini attacks they try to screen wipe with.
Another thing that I like about it too is you do get the opportunity in the like roguelite section of adding, not only getting relics for yourself that will also change gameplay, but also getting trinkets to add on to your different cards. So think of almost like in that like Wild Frost kind of way that changes how those cards play. So like in my, one of my runs, I got like some of my guys that like at first seemed sort of throwaway guys. Like this was my poison build kind of thing. And like I had these cards that would like cost 2 to play, but they were weak, like 1 damage, 1 health. But the reason I liked them was because as soon as I play them, it put a poison card in my opponent's deck. And as long as there's a poison card in their deck, they're going to take 1 poison damage at the start of their turn, unless they use one of their like AP points to discard it. And it's like, you know, wasting some of their resources, right, to use cards against me, which I love that. So that's why I really, really like the appeal of a poison deck. But with this particular one, I kept getting trinkets that I was putting on these guys that not only made their health and attack higher, I also gave them thorns so that they, when they did get attacked, they did a lot of damage back. And then I also ended up reducing their cost with another trinket to where they were free. So like they costed nothing. So I was throwing them out all the time, and it was so much fun to do that. Like there's so many things you can do in this game, and it just feels really good.
There's some really cool combos, and I'm glad that there seems to be, at least in my early experiences with it, some good counters to those. So I don't think at any point like I felt like I was just steamrolling everything. I mean, for the most part I was, but I know that it was like the first chapter. So it was like, it wasn't a huge deal. There was one, I got beaten one time, and it was by like this side character boss that I didn't have to fight. So it was like the quote unquote, like one of the hardest bosses of that little section. And she just like, she got lucky. That's what I'll say, because like I just wasn't drawing the right cards at the right time. But I do like that I was able to get beaten, so it didn't feel like a complete pushover the whole time. And I'm very curious to dive into that roguelike mode, because that's my preferred mode of play anyway. I just didn't know that that's what that was as I played through that whole first chapter. Then I was like, oh shit, I should have just been doing this. But it's okay, because I got like a good sort of like onboarding into the whole process through that first chapter.
Yeah, I think you'll really, really like that. I think that's where you're going to get really into this. And like, I think like I'm even at the point where I've been playing on normal difficulty. Like my win last night, like I destroyed that final boss so hard with my poison build. And it's not like, you know, that build in particular, I think was really effective for how I set it up. But it's like, I want to try that now on the harder difficulty and see like how it goes. Because like not all the builds I've done, you know, have steamrolled everything, but my poison one sure did. So I kind of want to see like, is that gonna like do the same thing with the harder difficulty or not? But some of my other builds that I've really enjoyed, I did a cannon build, kind of like you were talking about, where I just was making cannons all the time and setting them off all the time. So like I constantly had the board, like the opponent's side of the board was clear, because my cannons were always destroying everything. And then I also did a bomb build, which was really fun, where it was basically I was constantly putting bombs into my opponent's deck. And that's basically like every time they draw a bomb, it does 4 damage to the opponent. So it was just like taking down their HP really fast. And so I was like blazing through some of that. I don't remember if I won that run or not, but it was just really fun to do.
Yeah, and sometimes that's like what's really cool about these types of games is when you can just make this like semi-broken build or just this one that's at least fun to play, whether you win or not. Like sometimes it's just enjoyable to be kind of seeing that machine that you're putting together like working, and then it can give you ideas for things to do later too. One of the things that I had done with, again, the early pirate deck that I had was I found this, or I crafted this Berserker card. And what that does is every time it or any other unit takes damage, like its own damage increases. So I would just basically throw out like my basic 1-cost pirates in front of it to get hit in its place so that it would make the Berserker more mad. And then I just had so many units just getting like knocked off or at least hit in front of him that he became just a powerhouse of his own, and we almost one-shot the person I was fighting once he actually got a hit through. So it's really cool just seeing those things build up. And then on top of that, you've got the trinkets that you're adding to the characters that can completely change the gameplay style or the type of thing you're trying to do with your cards, which is just another layer on top of an already layered experience.
It feels pretty endless as far as like the possibilities for this one. Like I feel like I could experiment with just about anything I want to, and I love that about it. Doesn't hurt that the art is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
It's a blend of different styles. Like, you've got your pixel art, but you also have like your really like nice illustrations and stuff during like the campaign mode, the Fables, where it also goes into almost like a visual novel style storytelling as you go through the campaign. So there is something for everybody here. Like if you like roguelike deck builders, if you like card battlers and want to forego the idea of like the roguelike part, you totally can and get some story and stuff in it. And it's all pirate themed, which is just fun too. I mean, yeah, this thing has everything going for it. I absolutely am in love with this game.
Yeah, it really came out of nowhere for me. I don't know. Was it an early access? It seems like it might have been. Yeah, it was. It was.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because we were talking about that before. I forgot about that. Yeah, it was an early access.
Someone gave it a negative review because there's no controller support. And while I agree that sucks, I wish there was. Like, I'm not going to knock the game for it.
I played it on Steam Deck, but it does have to use the trackpad.
Like the mouse mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so I know it does not support controller because like I had to play it without it, which kept me from playing it for a little bit. But once I got into it, like it's fine. Like I don't mind using the mouse and keyboard every once in a while when the right game when I come across the right game. And this was one where I could easily spend hours mouse and keyboarding it up.
I've spent like a lot of time in this already, so I plan to spend a lot more in it too. So
yeah, I'm very curious. I'll probably report back in like the next couple weeks on like my experience with the roguelike mode of it. So maybe one of my like another games I want to talk about is what else I've been playing will be this at some point.
Hell yeah.
Power up!
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor and throw us a like, a follow, share the episode of the podcast with folks who love indie games so we can get more of these game recommendations out there and support indie game devs. We also have our YouTube channel at youtube.com where you can catch us playing more indie games like the one we just talked about, or check out our top 5 and top 10 series for even more indie game recommendations, because we believe there's an indie game out there for everyone.
Combo!
Let's talk about some other indie games we've been playing. Here's one that has been a long time coming. We've talked about it so many times. And then it came out, and then we didn't get time to play it for a little bit. And then I finally played it. I don't know if you got much time to play it, but this is Demonschool.
I did not play it too much. I had like I'm going to say an hour or so with it, if that.
Okay. Yeah. So you got to experience the fundamentals and everything.
Yeah.
Essentially. First of all, this was developed by Necrosoft Games, published by Yesbird. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say it. Yesbird Games. Retails for $24.99. This is a tactics RPG and school life sim where you're juggling the social aspect of things by day and then demon hunting at night. So you're like planning your party's moves on a grid, and then you execute all those actions all at once in this like combo driven style battle. Everyone's been comparing this to like Persona a lot, especially like the early Persona games. I 100% agree with that as far as like the style, the substance and everything. And like even the writing, when I first started talking to you about this, I was like, it feels weirdly a little bit like Force Strike to me in a weird way. Like almost like if Force Strike was a tactics game instead of like the back and forth.
If Force Strike was turn-based instead of like a live kind of reactive thing, I could see that. And if it were isometric like this is. What I appreciated about my early experience with it, though, was the way that the combat works and the way that you're planning out your moves is one part of it, but it doesn't stop with you just like with some tactics games. It's like, okay, character moves forward, other character gets hit for 1 point, that's it. And then it goes like that all around. In this, after you plan out all your moves for, and finish up, use all your whatever energy up, then it will literally play it out like they're actually doing it, which I thought was really cool, because that's something I've always like thought about like some kind of tactics game doing, and maybe some have done it in some fashion before. I'm not sure which ones have, if they did, but I like the idea of it replaying your like blocky movement with the really rigid kind of turn-based in a live action kind of scenario where it's showing all the action happening based on the choices you made. I thought that was a really cool thing they added to this.
I like that a lot too, especially because the way they do it also is that even though like some of the characters, I mean, obviously you're choosing one action at a time, but when some of those become like combos or like overlap because of just like, how you set them up, you'll see them do stuff at the same time instead of like, Faye does like her kick and then this person moves up and does this. It's just like they'll do those things all at once. And so it looks like this group battle of everyone doing their thing. And that looks sick as hell.
Yeah. It's kind of like if you were playing with toys and after you finish doing, going through your battle where they're like, you're just bumping them into each other, you actually get to see the scenario that you thought of in your head when you were playing with those and making up that battle. And I just think that was that's something that this had in it that completely surprised me. I thought it was just going to be exactly what it was as I was setting up the fight, where it's like I move up one, they take 1 damage. I was like, okay, that's fine. That's what I'm used to when it comes to like some tactics games, but seeing it actually play out was just a real highlight for me. And again, I'm very early on in it, so I haven't seen like everything this game has to offer, but I know that just shown really early.
And I think some of it is because we're fresh off of playing Force Strike. That's like one of the ones that we had literally just played before playing this game.
Yeah. Is
like that idea of you aren't stuck. Like if you do some of the moves and you're just not happy with how it turned out, like maybe it wasn't going to take out as many guys as you wanted. And like you didn't fully commit to like the whole thing yet. Like it didn't play out. You can like rewind all the way back to the beginning and like do that all over again and just like keep changing and doing things until you get it right.
Yeah.
And then do it. And like, I really like that. And it's like your battles are graded after the fact for that purpose too. So it's like partially this, tactics battle, but it's also partly like a puzzle too, in that way of like trying to figure out how do I get all of my characters in the right spaces to maximize, the amount of baddies I can take off the playing field, almost like a game of chess in that way. But doing that all in like my one turn and seeing how much I can do. each round and stuff like that.
And with the shared resource pool.
Yes, with that shared resource. And then, see how high a score I can get and everything. So the perfectionist part of me, I'm not a huge perfectionist, but there are, I do have those inklings from time to time. There was definitely times I was like, no, I could definitely do this better. And I'll just keep going back. And I'm like, man, no, I really got to move this person slightly over somehow. How do I get to this spot? Because if I do, I stunned all these guys and now she can chop through all of them. That's one thing we didn't talk about either is all of the characters you get. And since you are only an hour in, you keep collecting characters. There's a lot of characters you're going to get, a lot of characters. And all of them have very different move sets and abilities and things. And so there's a lot of different combos and synergies that you can mix and match.
With the first girl you get, she does a push, which can help you line them up into a nice straight line for your main character, your primary character, Faye, to just charge through, because the other character doesn't do direct damage, at least not with her normal moves. So she is just the setup character, the support character to help align it for your brute force character to get through, which I thought was a really interesting concept to throw in there. Just a character that just doesn't do damage. It's okay, well, how can I utilize this person then? And it's she's completely useful, just in a different way.
Yeah, there's a character that you'll get pretty early on too that also does not do damage. He only buffs and heals, but he's still extremely powerful in that way and how he does it. And it's super, super handy to have him too. I really, really like him. One thing I did want to talk about too is just as far as the feel of the game and stuff like that, gives me and it might be because I've been reading, well, I haven't been reading it for a few months because I'm all caught up with it, but I read all the way through Dawn to Dawn this year, and it does give me a lot of those kind of vibes of just this really weird, demon-filled kind of world that's sort of mixed with these high school teens that are all have their own really weird quirks, and some of them are just very socially awkward. Sometimes in the best ways. My favorite character from Dawn to Dawn is a total doofus himbo kind of guy. And you definitely get one of those in this game. And I love him so much.
Nice. Yeah, I can't really speak more about this because I haven't played a ton, but I am looking forward to playing more. I like it so far.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. We both also played Marvel Cosmic Invasion. Which came out very recently. So this released on December 1st, developed by Tribute Games and published by Dotemu or .emu or .emu, depending on
I honestly
your
don't
preference. Know. I honestly think it's Dotemu, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Retails for $29.99. This is a retro-inspired 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up starring a tag team lineup of Marvel heroes. We've been talking about this one coming out for a long time. It's finally here. What do you think about it?
I think that coming off of playing the Terrifier beat 'em up, this is obviously a night and day comparison. This game is amazing in all the ways I want it to be. This feels like a great blend of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and a brawler game, just a beat 'em up game. And I am really enjoying. I haven't done a ton in it yet. I just gone through a few levels of the campaign or the story mode, but I already know I will be hooked on it for as long as I need to be before I've unlocked as much as I need to feel satisfied. But it's one that I can keep just coming back in and jumping into and not get tired of, because in the same way that I just will still go back and play Shredder's Revenge periodically, because it's just such a good gameplay loop. And I love how the combat is unique enough for each character, not to the level of Absalom, but to the point where it's like some characters just dodge, some characters parry, some characters do this and that. Some characters can literally fly while others can't. And so they have to account for flying enemies in a different way. But luckily you have to set up like your team of 2. And that's where I bring up Marvel vs. Capcom, because you're switching out these characters in a way that you can either just switch them out to save your own ass, or you can bring them out to continue a combo or to do some like super special move. Like there's a lot of just cool, unique things that you can do with all these characters together. And it's just been like a really fun experience so far. Plus like the guy who plays Wolverine, Cal Dodd, I think his name.
Cal Dodd.
Yeah. He's Wolverine. And then the lady who plays Storms, like that's Storm's voice. Back. So so there's all these, like it's obviously got this like nice treatment, and you know, it's one that I would hesitate to call an indie game, but it was developed by an indie team and published by one. So it's like, say what you will about the you know, the product itself or like the license itself, but this was made by just a core team of people who know what they're doing and have done it multiple times, and I'm super on board with this.
Also, one of the best looking pixel art beat 'em ups you'll ever see.
Oh,
like,
so good.
The pixel art's gorgeous and incredibly fluid. Specifically, Venom's animations are insane.
The one thing I'll say is that I wish they hadn't revealed. Okay, 2 things I'll say. I wish there were more unlockable characters. I think there's like 4 or something. And I wish that I didn't know what those characters were based on like every single trailer and everything. Even the demo of the game had them in it, or some of them in it. So it's like, I like being surprised with those things. And they just kind of robbed me of that by just revealing too much too early. Personally, I think that like maybe half of the characters that are playable should have been playable at the start. So it would have just incentivized me to want to unlock more. But that's just like that side of me. I know some people just love to jump in and start with everything or just about everything. So this appeals to them. But for me, I'm an unlockables guy. So I just want to be, I wish there were more to unlock.
I'm going to hazard a guess that the plan is DLCs with a lot more characters.
There is a lot of room there in that little roster area. So I would hazard to agree with you, and especially because it is a Marvel product. Yeah, of course they're going to do that. Even still, like they won't be hidden characters. They'll just be like characters I need to pay like, you know, $5 for or something, where it's like, all right. And will I do it? Yes. Will I be happy about it after I get them? Yes. But while I'm doing it, no.
I think my only thing is like I really enjoyed it, but I don't feel the same. I think the same amount of excitement I felt playing this as I felt playing Shredder's Revenge. And I can't exactly pinpoint what that is. But if I try to get into like the psychology of it, I'm wondering if it is because of the idea that certain characters are meant for specific things, like because some dodge, some parry, like you said, like some characters have very specific things they do. Where in a game like Shredder's Revenge or most brawlers, like everybody has the grapple move, the strong attack, the regular attack, like, you know, all those things. So I'm wondering if a part of me almost feels like something is lacking every once in a while, but it's because you're meant to switch between different characters. And maybe there's like a slight disconnect in my brain there a little bit.
That's interesting to me that you would say that more variety is making you feel like something's lacking versus the other way around. I'm glad that not all the characters play the same for the opposite reason, I guess, because I enjoy variety and things like that. And I, you know, while it's one thing to have them all have a certain set of moves, I appreciate that if I do want to stick with the character like Spider-Man, I'm going to have to like be web swinging around a lot to get to those air enemies if I want to just like purely play as him and I'll have to be creative when it comes to the flying dudes instead of just like, oh, I'll just switch to Storm for these. Like that is where on a personal level, it makes me feel like I have to be a little bit more strategic about like either who I'm using or how I'm using them when it comes to certain enemies.
Yeah, super fair. Either way, I think it's really, really cool. And I'll be playing some more of it as well because I got to see the campaign all the way through. I got to try out each character. Big fan of Phyla for some reason. Like the character I expected to like the least.
Is she like a Shi'ar warrior or something like that? I don't know. I don't know that character from Marvel.
I think she's part of she's some connection to Captain Marvel, I believe.
She has a similar
I'm not entirely
look to that.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are some characters that like I like more than others, but I also haven't played everybody yet. So, TBD on how I feel about it after I've got all that going on. I do wish, and this would probably be more DLC, I do wish that like the cost or the unlockable like costume stuff you got wasn't just color changes. I wish that you actually had unique costumes that you were unlocking. But again, I do think, to your point, that's going to be DLC also. If I want to be Scarlet Spider, I'm going to have to like buy Scarlet Spider, who's going to have a separate move set instead of just like giving it to me as an alternate skin for Spider-Man, which a little disappointing, but nothing that I'm going to be like, too angry at the game for.
Yeah, 100%.
Final round.
All right, let's do our quick lightning round of a few other indie games we wanted to talk about. I've got a few that I just want to mention that are coming out this, if you're listening to this, they're already out probably, that I wanted to just highlight that I'm excited for. Death Howl, which is supposed to be a Souls-like deck builder. I have no idea how that's going to work, but I'm very excited to find out, and probably going to be terrible at it since it has Souls-like in it. But I think it'll be one for you for sure, combining like your two favorite genres.
Yeah, it looks very interesting. The art style is very minimalist. As long as the core gameplay is fun, then I'll be completely into this. I see like some of the deck building aspect of it, and then there seems to be like a sort of grid-based tactical movement to some of it. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how that actually plays out once it's actually going. So December 9th? Yeah.
Yeah. There's a demo, and the demo has overwhelmingly positive reviews.
Oh, so I love hearing that. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
Said demo.
Yeah, I got to try that out too. Also, Unbeatable, also coming out on the 9th. This is one that I have been waiting to come out. I've already played the demo. I'll probably play it again and grab the game when it releases.
That's like that arcade rhythm game?
I would say it's way more of like a RPG, a very story-rich RPG rhythm game.
The art style, anime art style.
Art style is so good.
Amazing. Yeah. Very beautiful.
Yeah. And then the last one I want to mention really quick, also coming out on the 9th, is called Keep the Heroes Out, which is kind of like a board game, like a virtual board game. It's like an asymmetric dungeon defense game for up to 4 players, where you're playing as the monsters you're trying to protect your treasures. So it's basically kind of like Boss Dungeon.
Yeah, that's super cute. I was wondering if it was based off of like a actual board game, but I don't think it is. I think it's a unique thing. So
yeah,
cool. Yeah, I'll check that one out too. One that I wanted to bring up for sure is one that I told you about earlier today that I'm excited about, which is Toy Smash Kaboom. So,
oh yeah, this looks so cool.
Yeah, so this it says it's asynchronous like multiplayer. I don't know like if you have to do it against like other people's like teams or if that's just a side thing.
Right.
Because it also labels itself as a roguelike, so maybe that's like the main mode of it. Unsure. I haven't played the demo yet, but it looks really cool where you're essentially like building a team of like toys of, some toys just look like they're actually from our youth. Like there was that what is that gator one with the dentist thing where you had to like
crocodile dentist.
Yeah, crocodile dentist. There's one that looks like exactly like that. So there's a lot of toys that are probably like, inspired by toys of our youth, and you're setting those up with different kind of it looks like kind of trinkets and things that make them do different things. So I'm curious to see how the build of that goes and what that feels like in execution. So auto battler is something that I've been getting into more like this past year. I can't remember what that one that I was really into for a while was. That like super kind of like a light one. Do you remember the nature looking one? Oh, like the name is
I think
slipping my mind.
Forest Heroes.
Yeah, Forest Heroes, where it's like you're setting up this team and then they are doing the actual fighting themselves. But where you come in is like interjecting things here and there, like casting spells and stuff. I think like this is going to work kind of the same way, except with the trinkets or whatever that you're setting up. So real curious to see how that game is in execution. I've downloaded the demo. I just haven't played it yet. But once I do, I'll be able to report more. And one more I wanted to bring up just because I bought it and I haven't played it yet. And I'm bringing it up mainly for that reason so I can remember to play it, is Hunter's Moon Sovereign Syndicate, which is a Sovereign Syndicate adventure. Sorry. Hunter's Moon is Sovereign Syndicate adventure, which is a roguelike deck building game. Which, I just love those, obviously. But this one... This one reminds me of that one that we played that was like Lovecraftian.
Menace from the Deep?
Yeah. Like it looks a lot like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was like the same sort of studio. It's not, but it looks super similar to
very
that.
Similar, yeah.
Where you're playing as these characters who are facing these off against these like different like mutants and monsters and things. And you're building out this deck to like decide what actions you're taking. So I like the way that combat like that usually works. And also, in a lot of my favorite deck building games, like that is how the action looks and how it plays out. So yeah, I have this. I just have not tried it yet because we've been playing so many other games that I haven't had time to. But that one came out in November, and I'm very excited to actually play that one day, hopefully soon.
November dropped a surprising amount of really good games, like in the final week.
Oh my,
I don't know why or how, but like I just feel like out of nowhere, a ton of amazing games just dropped.
I was really waiting for it to just like die out because we're getting so close to the end of the year, like where it's like we might get one or two good games here and there before the end of the year, but it's like every week there's something new that I'm just loving, and it's unfortunate. It's like a good problem to have, but it's a problem. It
is a problem for people like us. Hey, there is a bundle for Hunter's Moon with Menace from the Deep. It's talking about like those how they're very similar in presentation.
Okay.
So you can get them together.
That might have been what I bought actually when I bought it, was the bundle, because I already had Menace of the Deep. Yeah,
so I love when that happens because then you always get it for even cheaper because like they knock some of the price off, and I love that.
That's why it's great to just play a lot of the same type of games or have your favorite type of games because they're often going to bundle with each other, and that has benefited me so much.
Yeah, it also has a bundle with Holder of Place, which I have a sneaking suspicion you might be talking about in the next episode.
Oh, yes. I have much to say about that game.
All right.
Game over.
If you had a good time listening to this episode, stick around for the bumper to learn how you can help support the show and all the things we do here at Nerd Sloth Creative. You can also check our show notes for our link tree, which will take you to our social media, Discord, merch store, and all the other cool things I don't remember. Get in touch with us, though, and let us know what indie games you're playing so you can help us elevate these games and help support indie game devs. But that's game over for us. My name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Nerd Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth for indie game let's plays and recommendations. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/nerdsloth, where you can select a pledge and receive access to hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything at Nerd Sloth Creative. If you're an indie game developer and would like us to review your game or explore other opportunities, send an email to nerdslothcreative@gmail.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade. Thanks for listening, and keep supporting indie game devs.